Most people in crypto are staking, yield farming, and collecting tokens, and they're still getting wrecked. Why? Because tokenomics are broken. We've built systems that reward capital over contribution, and when the rewards dry up, the whole thing tends to collapse. If you've ever farmed a high APY and watched the entire project implode, or staked into a protocol just to see its token bleed out, you've seen this firsthand. And if you're building in Web3, bad token design isn't just a red flag, it's a death sentence. My name is Danilo, and today we're breaking down why most tokenomics models are fundamentally flawed, and, more importantly, what's replacing them. We'll look at real examples, what to avoid, and where the smart money and builders are heading next. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring notification bell so you never miss future crypto updates. Alright, let's get into it. This isn't just a problem for developers designing protocols. Broken tokenomics affect everyone in the ecosystem, whether you're trading, building, or contributing to DAOs. If you're a trader, you've probably jumped into projects offering sky-high APYs, thinking you were early. Maybe you staked, maybe you farmed, and maybe you even banked a small profit until the token collapsed and never recovered. That's not just bad luck. That's a system that rewards idle capital without sustainable demand behind it. If you're a builder, it's tempting to rely on emissions to bring in liquidity, and in the early stages, that can easily work. But if your token only incentivizes capital and not actual contribution, like usage, performance, or uptime, then you're not building a protocol, you're building a countdown timer. Projects like Optimism and Arbitrum have started rewarding real contributors through retroactive funding rounds. Instead of just incentivizing stakers, they've issued millions in grants to developers, community educators, and ecosystem builders based on measurable impact. Even if you're not trading or building, this still matters. Maybe you're contributing to a DAO, growing a community, or educating users. If the scoreboard only tracks who holds the most tokens and not who actually adds the value, then the system is rigged against you from the start. Understanding how these dynamics work protects your time, your capital, and your impact in the world of Web3. Staking used to mean something. In the early days, it was about securing networks and aligning long-term incentives. You would lock up tokens, support this term of decentralization, and earn rewards in return. Simple, clean, and aligned with the spirit of crypto. But over time, staking became less about contribution and more about capital. The more you stake, the more you earn, regardless of whether you're actually doing anything to help the network grow. That shift opened the floodgates to a new kind of short-term thinking. Protocols started using high emissions and token incentives to attract users quickly, without building long-term value. TVL numbers spiked, charts looked great on paper, and capital poured in. But a lot of that TVL is just window dressing. Capital bouncing between farms, inflating metrics that look impressive but don't actually reflect real demand. And underneath it all, very little is happening. No real users, no product market fit, no infrastructure being built, just money chasing money. And when the music stops, that capital vanishes as fast as it came. The result is a pattern we've seen over and over again. Protocols that look active because of the locked value, but collapse once the incentives dry up. It's a model built on extraction, not creation. And if the only value your token provides is yield, you're not building a true ecosystem. You're building a bubble, and bubbles always burst. One of the most well-known examples of this capital-first failure is OlympusDAO. At its peak, Olympus was offering 5-digit APYs through a 3-3 staking model that relied entirely on emissions and reflexivity. Early participants were earning massive returns, not because of product usage or real demand, but because new users were constantly arriving to prop up the entire system. As soon as that momentum slowed, the price cratered, the treasury shrank, and the entire model unraveled. It wasn't sustainable because nothing was being built underneath it. Compare that to something like Aave. Aave still uses token incentives, but those rewards are tied to actual lending and borrowing activity. You earn by participating in a system that has real utility, a protocol that people actually use, even without aggressive emissions. That's a critical difference. When rewards are connected to value-generating actions, you create user behavior that can survive beyond the incentives. That's why Aave has retained users and TVL over time, while Olympus became a cautionary tale. And keep in mind, this isn't just hindsight. Research from Messari found that protocols with utility-linked incentives, like Aave or Lido, show significantly better retention and long-term stability than those built purely on token emissions. The lesson is simple. If you want people to stay, you have to reward them for doing something that matters. Otherwise, The moment the token stops printing, the users are gone. Hear me out on this. What if tokens weren't just handed out based on how much capital someone could stake, but instead on what they actually contributed? That's the idea behind performance-based tokenomics. It flips the entire model. Instead of rewarding idle wealth, it rewards measurable work. Things like uptime, latency, infrastructure reliability, or even user onboarding. It's not about how many tokens you can lock up, and it's about more so what you can actually do. You're already seeing the shift in the real world. Decentralized physical infrastructure networks, or DPINs, like Helium, Render, and Akash are rewarding users not for holding tokens, but for delivering compute, bandwidth, and uptime. Operators who meet benchmarks get paid. Those who don't. These projects aren't relying on hype to survive. They're aligning rewards with output, and it's giving them a path to sustainability that capital-first protocols just can't match. And this model isn't just for the validators and node runners. In the future, we'll likely see token flows tied to all kinds of effort, onboarding new users, building open source tools, or helping communities grow. When people are rewarded for real-world performance, ecosystems become more stable. Behavior is no longer driven by yield hopping or speculation. It's driven by the value each participant adds. That's the future of token design. Verifiable contribution and not idle capital. And the projects building with that mindset are the ones that'll still be standing when all the noise fades. This shift towards contribution-based rewards isn't some theoretical future because it's actually already happening. The most obvious proof is in the DeepIn space, where networks like Helium, Render, and Akash are using token incentives to reward verifiable infrastructure performance. In these models, you earn by staying online, delivering compute power, or maintaining node reliability. It's not about speculation or emissions games. It's about doing actual work that keeps the whole system running. Helium, for example, rewards hotspot operators based on how reliably they provide wireless coverage. Render pays out based on the delivery of GPU power for rendering jobs. Akash lets you earn tokens by providing decentralized cloud infrastructure. These are live networks with tokens tied to usage and output, and not just locked value. And to enforce this, they've built in mechanisms like validator staking, slashing, and usage-based payouts. That tight feedback loop between work and reward is what makes these systems more resilient. This approach is gaining momentum. As of July 2025, nearly every major DeepIn project is either scaling or migrating to high-performance chains like Solana, not just for the speed, but to enable smarter token distribution models. These aren't pump-and-dump ecosystems. They're building systems where tokens flow based on uptime, reliability, and delivery. And for users who want to earn through real work and not just holding and hoping, that's a game changer. Let's simplify this. Imagine a gym that pays you just for signing up. You don't have to show up, lift the weights, or break a sweat. You just collect rewards because your name is on the list. Sounds great at first, right? But eventually, everyone figures it out. Nobody's getting stronger, nothing's really being built, and the whole place collapses because no real work is being done. That's what most tokenomics models look like today. They reward people for locking tokens and not really contributing. You're getting paid for potential and not performance. And just like that gym, it works for a while, until everyone realizes nothing's improving and they move on to the next shiny thing. Now imagine a different gym, one that tracks your effort, your consistency, and your progress, and rewards you based on how hard you work. That's what contribution-based tokenomics are moving towards. It's not about how much you stake. It's about whether you're actually helping the system grow stronger. And that's the kind of model people will want to stick around for. At the root of most token failures is a design problem. Projects often confuse emissions with traction and assume that throwing tokens at users is the same as building loyalty. But tokens aren't magic. They only work when they're tied to outcomes. Whether that's infrastructure delivered, compute executed, or users actively engaging with the product. If you treat emissions like revenue and ignore whether they actually drive the utility, your system becomes unsustainable by default. Tokenomics 2.0 isn't about eliminating the rewards, it's about making them accountable. It means shifting from speculation to productivity, from dashboards that track locked capital to scoreboards that reflect real impact. A dashboard might show who staked the most. A scoreboard could show who maintained node uptime, resolved support tickets, contributed code, or helped onboard new users. When rewards are tied to visible work, ecosystems don't just grow, they become resilient. For builders, this means designing token systems with retention in mind. Ask yourself, what behavior are we rewarding? And does that behavior actually strengthen the protocol? For investors and participants, it's a new way to evaluate projects. Don't just look at how high the APY is, look at what it takes to earn it. If a token's value comes from real usage and effort, it's far more likely to survive the next bear market. Imagine a version of crypto where tokens don't just sit in wallets, they move in sync with value creation. A network where developers earn for shipping code, validators earn for staying online, and community members earn for growing adoption. It's not about inflating numbers, it's about rewarding the people who actually move the system forward. This isn't just a better model, it's a more honest one. In a scoreboard-based Web3, you can't fake impact. You can either contribute or you don't. And that transparency builds stronger ecosystems, more durable protocols, and token economies that can actually last. The projects designing for that kind of alignment today, those are the ones that will still be around when the hype fades. So here's the question, would you still be earning if your rewards were based on what you did and not what you held? Drop a comment and let me know what you think. If you found this valuable, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell for more crypto breakdowns just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.